waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot on my shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now. When I pull up, know it's going down. Foot on the gas, ain't no slowing down. Aiming for greatness, no settling. Kick down the doors, they won't let me in. Taking no else, yeah, I gotta win. Watch me kick down the doors, they won't let me in. Who running the game now? Foot on the gas, can slow down. No, my team, we holding it down. We know we running it now. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change.
Man, it just never ends. I really don't know what else to say. The hits keep on coming. The bad news just keeps on right on rolling for the Cleveland Cavaliers. This time, I'm sure you guys have already read the title of this emergency pod. I'm sure you saw the notification fly across your phone screens just as I did. The Cavaliers gave us a status update just a couple of minutes ago. I'm going to go ahead and put it up on screen. Status update. Cavaliers forward Evan Mobley injured his left calf during Monday night's game versus Orlando. After post-game evaluation of tightness in that area, an MRI today at Cleveland Sports Health revealed a strain. Mobley will begin treatment and is expected to miss approximately 1 to 3 weeks. Mobley posted 20 points and 9 rebounds in the Cavaliers win over the Magic. Listen, this is just absolutely ridiculous that this team just keeps dealing with these injuries. I hate the fact that we just can't get to seem to have a good stroke of luck in regard to this. We're already down Darius Garland. We are already down Sam Merrill. We are already down Max Strus. We have not had DeAndre Hunter. That's 4 rotational caliber players right there. Evan Mobley would make 5. Jesus, this is absolutely insane to me that this team has been hit like this. And oftentimes, this is the thing that I think a lot of people misunderstand about injuries in particular. It's one thing to have a role player out or to miss the entirety of a season. Sometimes it's not just about the amount of injuries. It's not just about the amount of time a certain player has missed. It's about who is actually out. We know that this team has ways of making up for the loss of a Sam Merrill or a Max Strus because Jalen Tyson has burst onto the scene and he has been a phenomenal off-ball shot this year. He is a breakout candidate. We know that there have been times this season where they have had to play without Darius Garland this year, and they've been able to make up for that because of Donovan Mitchell being able to operate as a 1 and Craig Porter Jr.'s recent breakout this season as well, and small contributions from the likes of Tyrese Proctor and Lonzo giving what he can at any given point in time. But Evan Mobley is one of these players that is extremely hard to play without because the Cavaliers just don't have the depth in the front court to withstand this all the time. Listen, I love Thomas Bryant. Thomas Bryant is not a 4 or 5. Thomas Bryant is strictly a 5. Dean Wade can play the 4, but you don't want to play him there too much. All right, there's Naquan Tomlin, obviously, who stands to benefit from Evan Mobley missing time, and Tomlin's been a great surprise this year. He's a phenomenal basketball story, but he's not a starting level forward at this point in time himself. So Kenny Atkinson's going to kind of have to throw a bunch of shit at the wall and hope it sticks. And this is assuming that DeAndre Hunter is back as well, right? But it just goes to show you that this team cannot catch a freaking break. It is ridiculous the amount of injuries that they have had to deal with this season. And people wonder why they are where they are. And I'm not going to sit here and say throw it all away. All the progress that they've made over these last couple of weeks has been for naught, because the reality is that they have an 11-4 record over their last 15 games, and they've played some of the best basketball of the season so far. But a lot of that coincides with Evan Mobley finally taking a step forward in terms of aggressiveness and that mentality kind of switching on and him driving to the basketball a lot more, driving to the rim a lot more, and being active in the offensive flow of things. You don't have that without Evan Mobley, so you're going to have to lean even more on Donovan Mitchell for shot creation. You're going to have to lean even more on the likes of Jalen Tyson. You're going to probably ask Jarrett Allen to provide more from an offensive standpoint, and you're going to have to hope and pray that Dean Wade can step up at the 4 more than he is already doing at the 3, because he's been great at the 3, but you don't want to overextend him. He's had his fair share of injuries this year already. He has missed a number of games. The Cavaliers, for what it's worth, without Evan Mobley this season, have a record, if I'm not mistaken, of 3-3. That's 500 basketball. Their 3 losses have come against the Charlotte Hornets, ridiculous, the Chicago Bulls, and the Chicago Bulls, right? 2 losses against the Bulls, 1 loss against the Hornets. These aren't world beaters either. And not every game boils down to that, but at this point in time, it's just incredibly frustrating. I'm not going to sit up here and say, oh, the season's over. Obviously, it's 1 to 3 weeks, and Mobley is like one of these guys, like we have often made comparisons to Wolverine because of his ability to come back from injury early. But this is another calf strain. I think this is the same injury that he's been dealing with is it the left? I can't remember if it was the left or the right calf that he was dealing with earlier. But at the end of the day, I think that this team is going to be okay. It's just incredibly frustrating to see them consistently deal with these injuries, especially coming at a point in time where they're actually playing some of the best basketball that they have all season long. And they have this huge matchup with the Los Angeles Lakers coming up, and LeBron, for personal reasons, obviously, just for purely me being selfish reasoning. I want to see this Cavaliers team get closer and closer to full strength in matchups like that, because they matter. I mean, we don't place a lot of significance in the regular season, obviously, but there are certain matchups you circle on your calendar and you just hope that your best players are available for those. And this matchup against LA is definitely one, because it could be the last time we see LeBron at a Rocket Arena. You never really know, but at the end of the day, this sucks because it continues to happen. And the priority right now is obviously health among everything else. And maybe this is more precautionary. Maybe this is, we're not gonna force him to play through it. And I completely understand that with the All-Star break coming up and the trade deadline coming up and all these different things. But with the team starting to roll and them still fighting in seeding, that sucks. I mean, you look, let's pull the old calendar out right now. If we do that, 1 week from today is February 3rd, as of right now. If you look at the Cavaliers' schedule as it stands, that comes during a stretch of LA, obviously, which is tomorrow. You got Phoenix on the 30th. You got Portland on February 1st. And so that's the 3-game stretch. So at the very low end of the approximation, he could miss 3 games. Phoenix is a pretty good matchup. LA is obviously a fun matchup, and then Portland, they pose some significant matchup problems for Cleveland if they don't watch out. And we know Denny Advia and them boys have been playing some really fun basketball over there. So honestly, while these 3 games are winnable, they're not ones that you walk into feeling like, oh, this is we're chalking this one up to a victory. It is not by any means going to be that easy. If you go further than that, let's say 2 weeks. 2 weeks from that would be February 10th. So further than that, you got the Clippers. That's a tough matchup with how LA has played recently. They have the 3rd best record in the West, the 4th best record in the Western Conference dating back to December 1st. They have the 6th best record in the NBA dating back to that same date. They have been on an upward trajectory similar to the Cavaliers. You got Sacramento, and Domantas Sabonis and those guys go look a lot different post February 5th trade deadline, because some of them could be shipped out, if not all of them. So we'll have to see. I'll be keeping my eye on that matchup in particular because of the deadline. You got Denver. Denver is not to be trifled with, obviously. And then that's the cutoff point. So if he misses 2 weeks, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 game, well, 6 games that he could potentially be out for. If you extend that full 3 weeks, that would be February 17th. And those are games that run right in line with the All-Star break. You got Washington right before on February 11th, and then they'll return to action on February 19th against the Brooklyn Nets. So worst case scenario, absolute worst case scenario, according to the timeline, because that's what we've been given so far. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 potential matchups that he could miss. Now, my estimation is that he'll come back in between that. I don't think it'll be the full 3 weeks. I definitely don't think it'll be before the 1 week passes. I think it'll be maybe he misses a week and a half's worth of games. So if you're looking at that, that probably places you somewhere in between the Clippers matchup and the Sacramento matchup. Maybe after the deadline, he comes back in because you got a nice little 3-day window before that Sacramento game. That would be my guess as to when we could see Evan Mobley once more. But this is going to be a test because while I enjoy Naquan Tomlin minutes, he still leaves a lot to be desired in specific areas. While I enjoy Thomas Bryant, he is really, truly just a 5. That same thing can be said for Jarrett Allen. So those minutes you got to tinker around with. I don't want Dean Wade overextended. I don't want Larry Nance Jr. overextended, but we're probably going to see a good amount of Larry Nance Jr. minutes. And we know he just came back from a calf strain himself. We could see Luke Travers. We could see some of these two-way guys get some minutes. We could see some small ball Cavaliers with Jalen Tyson playing the 4. We could see a lot of different things play out, and we could get specific players back. I'm assuming that DeAndre Hunter is back by this next matchup, probably tomorrow. We'll have to see. I'm assuming that we get Sam Merrill back sooner rather than later, and that those guys coming back will definitely help. But it sucks that we're continuing to see these guys take hit after hit after hit because it leaves little in terms of consistency for Kenny Atkinson to work with rotationally. And as much as we have shit on Kenny for not necessarily staying consistent with his lineups and tinkering a little bit too much and experimenting a little too much at times, and we knew these things were all going to be the case this year, while as much as those things have happened, it's kind of hard for you to stay consistent when the guys that you have available to you have rarely been that. It's a chicken and egg kind of thing, I guess. But this is another blow to the Cavaliers, seeding hopes. But it's not, all is not lost, obviously. And this does give the Cavaliers a bit of a opportunity, much as it has all season long, to evaluate some of the other players on the roster. I assume that we're going to get even more minutes from players like Lonzo Ball, who has been in and out of the rotation all season long. I assume that we're going to see more small ball lineups. I assume that Dean Wade's going to play much, much more than he has been playing this year. And I assume that they're going to have to lean on Donovan Mitchell a lot more. Craig Porter Jr., you're going to need more out of him offensively. You're going to just need a little bit more from everybody to help make up for the loss of Evan Mobley. And again, they are 3-3 this season without Evan Mobley. And he has often been a catalyst for them because of his ability to impact the game defensively. And to be honest with you, since the start of December, he has looked like a defensive player of the year front runner. And I know that he's not going to win that award. Let me just be cut and dry. Evan Mobley will not win back-to-back defensive player of the year awards, but he has played like it. He is playing possibly the best defense that we have ever seen him play during this stretch. Just sucks. I hate to see that happen again. I'll take a couple of comments and then I'll leave you guys to it. But there's no way I could see that notification roll across my screen and not jump on here, because it just seemed like one thing after another with this team in regard to the injuries. Cleveland sports fan says, April Fools or what? That's certainly what it feels like, because anytime I see a notification on my phone from the Cavaliers and I see that specific font, and you guys know what I'm talking about. Anytime I see that font with small words underneath it, I just know some bullshit's coming. I just know it. And that's exactly what happened. John Bontia says, here we go again. Derpy says, might as well throw in the season. Reppin says the MASH unit. Yeah. Andrew Coachell says the pain never ends. Trevor T says, you lying, bro. I wish I was lying. Charo Cotton says, I didn't even notice. John Matias says he's a deer. Neverbloom says shit never ends, man. So frustrating. J Diaz says just our look. Jonah Quest says why. Ty Hall says All-Star break is in 2 weeks. Feels precautionary to me. Certainly could be the case, but it still doesn't make it hurt any less. That definitely bothers me. I gotta admit, I hate to see this continuously happening. If I'm being honest with you guys. Ty Hall also says we can't we look at the schedule over the next week and 1 to 2 weeks before we freak out? I just did. I'd assume I did. Yeah, I assume you caught that part. And these are not necessarily easy games. I mean, there's some tough ones in there. They're not all freebies here. LA, that's a tough matchup with Luka and company. Phoenix, that is not going to be a great matchup, right? I mean, that's not going to be an easy matchup without Evan Mobley. Portland, they're playing some really good basketball despite being the 10th seeded team, I think, at this point in time in the Western Conference. LA, as I mentioned, the Clippers, they're playing the best basketball they have all season long. Denver, they're not to be messed with. And then Sacramento, that's a toss-up depending upon who's left after the trade deadline. Smoke clears. The dust settles over there. JDS says Luke could get a call up. We shall see what ends up happening with that. John Bautista says, let's go with the youth movement. Yeah, I think so. Frisky Whiskey says, y'all stop panicking. It's only halfway through the season. They'll be all right. He probably would play if needed. This is good rest. I wish they'd rest Donovan, but he wouldn't want to. This is one way to look at it, and I think it's definitely closer to the truth. But I honestly, if you look at where the Eastern Conference sits right now, no, I'm sorry. If he misses 3 weeks, that's a pretty substantial portion of games. That is a good amount of seeding that could be potentially lost if the Cavaliers don't tread water here, because they're already a 5th seed. And the difference between seed 5 and seed 8 is, and seed 7, 8, there's not a large gap there. Just like there's not a large gap between seed 5 and 2. The Eastern Conference has been crazy in terms of the margins. So you could see some shifting here seeding wise. Certainly it could work out in the Cavs' favor, and they could still tread water or move up the standings, or they could, take a bit of a hit here. They are 11 and 4 over the last 15 games. A lot of that has been due to Evan Mobley showcasing increased aggressiveness. So no, while I want to sit here and act like it doesn't matter at all, or that they'll be fine, I can't quite go that far. I think that the answer here is somewhere in between. So I think it's okay to panic a little bit, but I'm not going to go overboard with it. Let's see here. Ty Hall says yes, rest Spida. I think that's a terrible idea right now, to be honest. The Cavaliers are already down their best actual orchestrator of the offense in Darius Garland. Donovan Mitchell is a combo guard who can run the one, but if you sit Donovan Mitchell and you don't have Darius Garland, you're literally leaving things up to Craig Porter Jr., Lonzo Ball, and Tyrese Proctor. I love these guys, and they all bring different things to the table. I'm sorry, none of them is a trusted, reliable shot creator and orchestrator of the offense as a starter. It'd be good to get developmental minutes for Tyrese Proctor, though, and Craig Porter Jr. continues to impress. But you're leaving so much to be desired if you're rested, Don. So I can't agree there. I don't think that would be a good idea right now. Jonah Quest says, I think health is a priority over the standings, and I'm not mad at it, but Evan just started showing signs of greatness, in my opinion. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with it. I think that you definitely don't want to go overboard with having a panicky mentality, but Evan was just starting to really play some of the most aggressive basketball of his career, quite honestly. And that sucks to see that kind of be torn apart already. Lance says they better rest Mitchell because he's going to end up being injured next, trying to carry this team. They will find a game here, and the All-Star break is coming up, right? He's not going to sit if he can help it. That's just a mentality that he showcases. But they might be able to find a rest game here for him if they can win these next couple. Maybe you look at sitting him back. Maybe you look at sitting him against Portland. Maybe you look at sitting him against Sacramento if Evan's out that long. but I don't think he's going to end up sitting. John Bontia says underrating Craig Porter Jr. No, I'm not. I've been a huge fan of Craig Porter Jr. all season long. I've given him praise when it's due. I've given him criticism when it's due. But the reality with Craig is that he's not a shot creator at this point in time. He is a fine orchestrator, but if you're the problem, the thing that I'm saying is if you're not playing Donovan, you are only limited to Craig, Tyrese, and Lonzo. Lonzo, he's struggled all season long with the three-point shot. And when he has he has his own injury issues and consistency. So you don't want to overextend him. And then Tyrese Proctor is a wild card right now. So that's my point. You need somebody else out there. You need at least one additional shot creator. And as much as I love Craig, he is not that. There are often times in games where he often is, I don't want to say timid because I don't think that's the way he plays, but he can be a little indecisive with knowing when to pull the trigger, especially from beyond the arc at times. It comes and goes. The percentage is great. I just wish he would pull the trigger more. And you don't have to worry about that with a Darius Garland or a Donovan Mitchell. They're not gun shy at all. You just need additional creators out there. You don't want to be limited to those three. We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. But I don't know. The Cavaliers got to figure some of this out in the meantime. I will be very, very, very happy if they're able to play 500 basketball in the absence of Evan Mobley, because these are some tough matchups. I'll be ecstatic if they play above 500, but I mean, I'm not going to be surprised if they start losing some of these games, because Evan is a huge piece of why they've been so successful lately. Trevor T says he better not sit in sack. I'm about to spend some money. Yeah. John Matia says, is there anyone we can sign minimum veteran? I mean, yeah, you could, but honestly, I don't think I would, right? Consider this. They still have to convert Naquan Tomlin. He's going to take a roster spot. They still have guys on. They still have most of these roster spots. If they convert Naquan, I think that's all 15. That's the problem. You don't want to you don't want to, shoot the gun, or what's the saying? You guys understand what I'm trying to say. You don't want to jump the shark, but they could look at giving some guys some time, right? They could look at signing Killian Hayes to a 10-day contract. Honestly, there's definitely something that they could do right there to address the ball handling issue if they want to rest Donovan Mitchell. But maybe they look at the veteran market and consider making a trade just because of what just happened right now. But that has its drawbacks too. Either way, I'll be very, very interested to see what happens, and I'm sure you guys will be too. Jonah Quest says, thanks for staying on top of the news, Mac. Go Cavs. Appreciate it. Ty Hall says, thanks for jumping on, Mac. Have a good night, brother. Thanks, you too, for joining, Ty. And Charo Khan says, Mitchell will get his rest during All-Star Weekend. He's good. Same way I feel. I'm going to leave you guys to it. Thanks for jumping on. Do you a favor, hit that like button. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber to this Cavalier podcast. Do the very same thing for a positive hooper. I have a Clippers video getting ready to drop today in regard to that. As always, go Cavs.